All right, we will go ahead and have this meeting come to order. We're having our invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Patsy Ayala.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings of this community, for the families who call Santa Clarita home, for the small businesses that create opportunity, for the volunteers and public servants who give their time in service to others. Tonight, as we recognize women, we pause with gratitude for the women who shape not only our city, but our lives. For the mothers and grandmothers who anchor our families, and the daughters who inspire hope. For educators, entrepreneurs, caregivers, and leaders who strengthen our community, thank you. Señor, te damos gracias por las mujeres que con valentía y dedicación construyen nuestro futuro. Gracias por su fortaleza en momentos difíciles y por su sabiduría y compasión que une a nuestras familias y vecindarios. We ask that you guide this council with wisdom and integrity. Help us listen and understand, always remembering our responsibility to serve, especially the next generation. Que nuestras decisiones reflejen respeto, justicia y un compromiso con el bienestar de cada familia en nuestra ciudad. May Santa Clarita continue to be the place where every woman and every girl knows she is valued, protected, and empowered to pursue her God-given potential. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now come to order. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman McLean?
Here.
Councilmember Gibbs?
Here.
Mayor West?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala?
Here.
And Councilmember Miranda?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem, would you please lead us the flag salute?
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please place your hand over your heart. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going to our executive meeting. Council, do you have any questions for the items that are on the agenda? Seeing none. Does any council member want to pull any items from the agenda? Okay. City Clerk, are there any speaker cards for consent?
Yes, we have a speaker on item 5.
Number 5. Okay. All right, we'll now proceed with awards and recognition. And tonight, we have a very special proclamation for International Women's Day. Tonight, the City of Santa Clarita proudly recognizes International Women's Day, a time to honor the achievements of women socially, economically, culturally, and politically worldwide. International Women's Day is both a celebration and a call to action. This day advocates for gender equality and is an opportunity to celebrate progress, acknowledge challenges, and recognize the very vital roles that women play in every sector despite the ongoing barriers, like pay gaps and limited opportunities. This year's theme is Give to Gain, highlights the importance of generosity, support, and collaboration. Here in Santa Clarita, we see this theme in action through women leaders, educators, entrepreneurs, and volunteers who give their time and mentorship to uplift so many others. When communities like ours commit to listening and taking intentional steps toward inclusion and fairness, we create greater opportunities for the women of future generations. And when women and girls win, the families are strengthened, neighborhoods thrive, and our entire city grows stronger. In short, when women win, we all win. Therefore, the city proudly recognizes March 8th, 2028, March 8th, 2026, that's 2, I get one more miss, as International Women's Day in Santa Clarita. Together, let us give to gain for everyone in our community, especially towards the advancement of women and a more equitable world. So I would now like to invite the members of Zonta Club of Santa Clarita to come up to the dais and accept the proclamation and take a photo. We're so blessed to have so many of them. I love them. They're all here. I'm trying. How are you? I'm so glad you're all here. Hey, good night. How are you? I'm good. All right. Yes, you do. All right, who's going in the middle?
Our president.
Of course. President, you want to say a speech first? And we'll take a picture. You want the picture first? All right. Let's put the proclamation up. Let me stand.
Here we go. Stand right here. Here, stand with her. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Okay. 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1. Gorgeous.
Yes, okay. All right, well, good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and community leaders and friends. On behalf of the members of the Zonta Club of Santa Clarita Valley, we are honored to accept this beautiful proclamation for International Women's Day. We are truly grateful to the City of Santa Clarita for celebrating the achievements of women and reaffirming the ongoing work towards equality and opportunity and safety for all. As you mentioned, International Women's Day is a celebration and a call to action. It celebrates women in our homes, in workplaces, schools, and throughout the community. Through service, advocacy, scholarships, and community partnerships, Zonta works to build a better world for women and girls, empowering young women, supporting survivors of domestic violence, and expanding opportunity. This proclamation sends truly a powerful message that investing in women and girls strengthens our entire community. Thank you so very much for this honor and standing with us to celebrate International Women's Day. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you all. Just keep going on. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you
Very,
for
very
having
proud
us.
of you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All the
A great honor.
excessive work that you do. Is it off?
Down is off. Up, on. Think of that.
We really appreciate Zonta. They do wonderful work in our community, and they've been doing it for a very long time. So congratulations to them. All right, should we start with our public speaker? Our first speaker will be Linda Townsley, followed by Cheryl Child, followed by Tony Maldonado.
I'm Linda Townsley, and I'm here speaking as a private citizen and not representing any organization other than my friends and neighbors in Placerita Canyon who've asked me to speak. I did not have any plans of speaking again, but I think there are a few things that were misrepresented at the last city council meeting and not entirely accurate. It's clear that the speakers here on February the 10th were here as part of their job at TMU. We neighbors of Placerita Canyon have been here in front of City Council because we're fighting for our homes and our way of life, fighting on our own time when we should be enjoying retirement and our homes of many years, or taking care of young families and family activities. None of the 4 Masters employees that spoke at the last meeting live in Clarita Canyon, but if they do, we're not aware of that. In fact, I've encountered some TMU employees at church, and when having personal conversations with them, they admit that they would not want for their neighborhood what is happening to our neighborhood. I could make a long list of things that the TMU employees said at the last meeting that my neighbors would dispute, but I only have 3 minutes. Just finally to say, TMU's reality is not our reality. One final point I would like to make is TMU is not communicating with the community. One of their speakers even acknowledged that because they didn't feel their communication had been reciprocated, their words. Could that be because Clarita community has not completely agreed with the college's activities and plans, or maybe because my neighbors are asking the tough questions? I had a conversation with Mr. Bradley when he told me he's not part of the plans or decisions regarding development, yet that's the representative that TMU has designated as the college's only approved liaison. We residents are fighting for our homes. We have a contract with the city in the form of a Clarita special standards approved and ratified by the City Council as part of the City of Santa Clarita's original general plan. Shouldn't the city honor its agreements with everyone, including the Clarita Canyon community?
Cheryl Child.
Good evening. I just want to follow up with what Linda said in that there was some stuff at the last city council meeting that weren't entirely accurate. James Bradley stated that he has met with representatives of Clarita Canyon Property Owners Association 8 times since August of 2024, approximately every 2.5 months, to use his words. However, meeting privately with 2 or 3 board members at a time is not the same as being accessible to the broader community. It does not constitute transparency, nor does it satisfy meaningful public accountability. Selective access is not community engagement. The Masters University has not attended a PCPOA meeting open to residents since 2022. So while Mr. Bradley describes regular meetings, those meetings are not the same as hearing directly from the residents who are impacted by TMU's decisions. When I recently spoke with Mr. Bradley by phone, he acknowledged that the university has avoided meetings open to residents because they can become heated. Respectfully, leadership requires engaging even when conversations are difficult. Avoiding public forums because they are uncomfortable is not a substitute to open dialogue. It was brought up at the last city council meeting that TMU has been in Clarita Canyon since 1961, and that it is only in the last 12 to 18 months that the residents have become unhappy. I would agree with this because Masters has continued to overreach and expand significantly in the last 5 years, and it finally hit a boiling point in the last 18 months where the residents don't want to live on a college campus. However, prior to that, we did coexist nicely, but I don't want to live or raise my family on a college campus. You also heard from Kurt Fillmore regarding TMU's assistance to the neighborhood. Community support, however, goes both ways. My husband and I have personally warned female students when we've observed suspicious activity and contacted security when necessary. When a robbery occurred in Clarita Canyon, a neighbor immediately called TMU security so the university could protect its students. Residents are not here claiming special credit for being good neighbors. That is simply what responsible community members do. What the residents of Clarita Canyon are asking for is straightforward: adherence to the university's original master plan. We do not want to live on what effectively becomes fraternity and sorority row. We do not want incremental expansion strategies that overlook the impact on established tax-paying homeowners while TMU receives a 95% discount on their property taxes. Any responsible institution understands that growth must follow infrastructure, not precede it. If there is not adequate capacity to house additional students, Appropriately, the solution is not to crowd them into surrounding residential homes and address the consequences later. Expansion must be planned, supported, and responsibly implemented before it occurs, not justified after the fact.
Our next speaker will be Tony Maldonado.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. It's great to be back. Next year, in December, the City of Santa Clarita will have its 40th anniversary of being incorporated. In those 40 years, I have lived 30 of those here. I have seen the city grow in many positive and negative ways. The positive has been the fact that we have a city council that has been very proactive and trying to include the residents as much as possible in many of the activities that we involve ourselves with. The negative has been our growth. It has not been well managed, nor have we had a set vision for the city in terms of how it will look. How will it look in 10 years, 20 years, or 50 years from now? We have no idea. At present, we have developments being made all around our mountaintops. So we have new homes everywhere, where before we had green space. If you look around, our air is poisoned by smog. 30 years ago, when I moved to Santa Clarita, we had crystal clear air every single day. That's because of the growth and because it's not managed properly. I don't blame anyone here because, of course, we're all individuals and we've all tried our best to make the city the best that we can. But we must have a vision for the future. We can't permit developments to occur willy-nilly everywhere. Everywhere that you look, from our freeways or from our mountaintops, you see industrial developments everywhere. Warehouses for Amazon, warehouses for other corporations and factories. Commercial space, as far as business space is concerned, of course, is being downsized. But then we have no new developments. Our young folks, those that have been raised here, have lived all their lives here, have seen no future in the city. They feel that they're actually tied down to a city in which they see no growth, no job opportunities, and most definitely, no ability to buy a home or even rent a home here. That's a problem we all need to solve. It's a problem that we must address today, tomorrow, and over the next 5 years, because I want to see this city prosper. I want to see this city, when it meets its 100th birthday, to be one of the best cities in this country. I'm asking you, as the body that represents us all, to help us, to guide us, to give us that vision, to assist us to all get together so that we have a joint vision, and not just on a 5-year plan, but on a long-term vision plan that it benefits all, so that we all actually have a city that we can all be proud of today, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Our next speaker will be Anna Franco, and she'll be followed by Cher Gilmore, followed by Glenda.
Good evening, and thank you. I am a resident of the Terrace Apartment Homes. I am sure you are all aware on February 10th, it was spoken in regards to the mold situation that we are having. I have an autoimmune deficiency. I've been hospitalized. I have mold in my living room for the past 2 years. I've contacted the office many times, and they all the time say that they're short-staffed, and I'm trying to be patient, and I understand everywhere we are short-staffed, they're overwhelmed. They come to the living room, they paint on the corner where the mole is at. Well, that's not solving my problem. It just resurfaces. I have mole in the living room. My husband and my youngest have asthma, and therefore we are becoming sick, and no one is taking care of us. And we pay our rent on time. I have several other residents, neighbors, who are becoming sick as well because we are having a mold issue. And Santa Clarita is a wonderful, wonderful community and city to live in. And we would just like to be heard that there's an issue happening right here at home. The Terrace and other communities, residential communities are not being taken care properly, and they're just sweeping the dirt under the rug, and it needs to be acknowledged. Thank you.
We'll now hear from Cher Gilmore.
Thank you. I'm here representing the SCV Eco Alliance. Madam Mayor, council members, and listeners, I'd like to invite everyone to the 3rd Annual Eco Film Festival coming up on Saturday, March 7th at College of the Canyons, Aliso Hall, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a free event, and parking is free too. It promises to be a day of inspiration, entertainment, and education. 7 excellent environmentally focused films will be screened. Ocean by Sir David Attenborough, Chasing Chimeras, chimeras being mythological creatures, The Story of Stuff, Hydrogen Hype, Roots of Renewal, The Biggest Little Farm, and The White House Effect, with a short discussion after each one. For one example, The Biggest Little Farm is the inspiring story of how a young couple transformed 10 acres of extractively farmed land in Moore Park, which is very near us, into a reawakened ecosystem. They incorporated all aspects of nature with everything working harmoniously together. It wasn't without its challenges, but Apricot Lane Farms has now become an incredible 200-acre paradise, and the film is all about how they did it. You won't want to miss these films. The festival is a project of the SCV Eco Alliance, an informal coalition of 16 environmentally focused groups who work in this area. If you're unaware that so many groups here are working to restore and protect our environment, you might want to come and see who they are. Most of them will have information tables at the Aliso courtyard where you can learn more and engage with them. In addition to the information tables, there will be an art installation of 40 beautifully patterned umbrellas in a waterfall formation to call attention to freshwater scarcity. A bicycle library showcasing books about the environment will also be in the courtyard, and the Tacos Jimenez food truck will be on site if you want to purchase lunch. For details and descriptions of the films, visit the City of Santa Clarita calendar of events at calendar.santa-clarita.com under the date of March 7th. When you arrive at the Aliso courtyard on March 7th, start at the welcome table, where you'll find the schedule of films and their screening rooms. I hope to see you there.
Thank you very much. Glenda?
I'm going to change my routine. Ken! Okay. Okay, I didn't plan on saying this, but I'm really upset about it. Inclusion, equity, and Women's Day. I'm a woman, and I don't want to have my own day. You know why? Because I work as hard as my husband does. So this BS of bringing critical race theory into the city council, since we're fighting it all the time at the school board, is just absolutely absurd, and it upsets me. Okay, now to my issues. I know you guys are constantly afraid that you're going to be sued by the state and favoring this developer and that developer. But you know what? That's not what's best for this valley and these residents. I really believe that there's 10 ears up there, and you really need to listen to us. And I understand that you can't answer because there's a person here that does all the talking, even though we did not vote for him to be in office. I was very upset to hear that there's so much going on with the Bouquet Canyon project and the danger that it could cause with residents and kids. Now I'm also hearing about some kind of sticker so you can drive through bends. A cry is just a cry, but what we're asking you is a totally different thing. Sorry. If somebody gets hurt up there, do you think the state cares if you guys get sued? No. Sorry about that. I am really surprised you guys are not being sued by the ADA, by the residents, because in Canyon Country, up Abelia, there are no streets, actually a few streets, that have the wheelchair accessible curbs. I don't know why, but it's got to be taken care of. I guess someone here doesn't think that people up there are on wheelchairs. Going up Abelia, the streets that are coming on do not have a caution, a stop sign, or anything else, which is very upsetting to a lot of us, especially me at this point, because of the fact that I was coming down and almost got T-boned by some stupid jerk that wasn't paying attention and does not have a stop sign. Somebody has to do something before someone gets hurt, and I can guarantee you somebody will get hurt. I want to talk about the Cracker Jacks meeting we had about the lithium battery storage. We really need to have a real meeting with all you guys up there and a real fire chief, because in Acton, the fire chief there said that it is too dangerous to have, but you guys have one on a main street, which is Soledad. So I want to see another meeting with everybody up there and Ken to find out what we really can do. 'Cause staying in place, you can't do that for months. Leaving, that ain't going to help, because you can't get out of there fast enough.
Thank you, Glenda. That concludes our public speakers. City Manager, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. In regards to Ms. Franco's comments on the mold, I just wanted to update the council that we have been in contact with residents out there. In fact, we met with Ms. Fortman today with Councilmember Ayala. The city inspectors will be looking for structural issues via our building inspectors. We've also, per the council's direction at the last council meeting, sent a letter to Supervisor Barger's office requesting assistance with the health department's response to the issue. We have received a response from her office saying that the public health department will be out there next week to conduct their inspections and to engage in the process. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you can get them assistance soon. All right, we will,
Pardon me, Mayor. Do you happen to have a speaker card for Claire Engels?
call her up. Claire Engels.
Hello, my name is Claire Ingalls, and I serve as the chair of the Santa Clarita Youth Commission, a group of young Santa Clarita residents dedicated to empowering the next generation of leaders by fostering engagement in local government and addressing community issues every month. We've spent the past month gathering information on a topic chosen by the young people in the commission: what the introduction of Waymos in Santa Clarita means for public transport. Roughly 1 in 4 residents of Santa Clarita is under the age of 18, making up a substantial portion of our community. And this is reflected in the public transit system, which takes specialized routes through residential areas and connects to 13 schools in the Heart District, as well as areas popular amongst teens, such as MB2, the Cube, the Valencia Mall, and Old Town New Hall. Santa Clarita's layout isn't walkable. Most of the places just mentioned are not pedestrian friendly and can span into hour-long walks across underpasses, freeways, and busy intersections. The Youth Commission feels that accountability needs to be taken to ensure that enough resources are allocated towards our public bus systems, keeping them affordable, efficient, and accessible. Instead, the incorporation of Waymos in Santa Clarita is only going to counteract the necessary funding that bus systems depend on. After polling a group of students about their opinions on Waymos, we discovered that all of them would prefer a Waymo over taking the bus. I think this shows a general dissatisfaction that young people have with the current public transit system. Discrepancies over unarrived buses or overcrowding are not problems that should be solved with flashy, self-driving solutions. Currently, a bus ticket costs $1. As a rideshare system, Waymo requires a smartphone, a debit or a credit card, and is generally inaccessible to minors without parental accounts, and unaffordable for low-income youth. Santa Clarita's bus system depends on ridership numbers to justify state and local funding allocations. And when Waymo pulls away the riders who can afford alternatives, the people left on the bus, who are the most vulnerable, are left to a system that becomes underfunded. It is important to mention that Waymo's non-human interface consistently struggles to navigate construction zones and school zones, which will lead to traffic and accidents, causing frustration for Santa Clarita residents. As a youth commission, we want to express how vital the buses are to young people. We urge the council members to continue to invest and improve upon systems that so many of your young people rely on today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ken, do you have any comment? No. Okay. We only appreciate that input.
Mayor,
Yes?
I'm here.
Thank you, Marcia.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming for that. I want you to know that we very much want to improve our bus ridership, and we are doing everything we can to do so. So I would love it if you could give me in writing what you just said, and so we can look into it.
It's nice to hear that they appreciate the buses. And we'll just keep them running. All right, we're now going to move on to public hearings. We have 2 items. We will start with public hearing number 1. And,
Council comments.
oh, do we have to do those? I just walked right over that. Thank you. Do we all have comments? Let me start with Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. One Story, One City returns this March at the Santa Clarita Public Library, bringing the community together once again through shared reading experience. This year's selected title for adult readers is The Music Shop by Rachel Joyce. Set in 1988, The Music Shop follows a record shop owner with a unique gift for connecting people to the music they need until an unexpected new customer challenges him to confront his own past and emotional barriers. This month, celebration will kick off with the Music Shop, a literary listening experience on Friday, March 6, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the Main in Old Town Newhall, featuring a live musical performance by a quartet from the Santa Clarita Symphony Orchestra. To see the full schedule of programs, you can go to city.sc/OSOC. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I want to share many organizations that I was involved during these 2 weeks that we didn't have city council, and give thanks to the MetroLink. I was able to attend to the MetroLink Appreciation Day. That was on February 12, 6:45. It was incredible to see our enthusiastic riders commuting, and MetroLink was bringing some goodies to them. Also, with all the city council members, we attended the Chamber Awards and board installation. I was also in the meeting with the mayor of the sanitation. Oh, thank you for the picture, please, because I want to give a big shout out because one of our honorees, it was our own Frank Oviedo, assistant of city manager. Congratulations, Frank, for everything that you do in the city. And for the business community, of course. There you are. We are very thankful and grateful for your work, and of course, all the staff that you do as a team effort. You were there, but I mean, like, the city is fantastic. All the staff, thank you so much. And also, I attended to the Contract Cities Board of Directors meeting that was at the Fire Department headquarters. Thank you to Henry Rodriguez and Chris Lazaro. I was there with for the Elite Awards with City Council member Jason Gibbs, honoring and recognizing the real estate professionals that, of course, they do hard work and do a lot of things for our economic development in our city. I want to thank Lorraine Acevedo from Ignite the Light with this wonderful organization. They give food, and we were in La Mesa Junior High. They bring a big truck full of food and bring carts, so it's like you're going shopping in grocery in the school. They were super nice. They brought a lot of volunteers, but the best, it was the faces of the families that were there kind of shopping and going super happy with lots of things that they needed at home. Thank you to Ignite the Light. Also, I want to thank Reach to Home for having us, and that's super nice, the labor of love that you give for those in need of shelter in Santa Clarita. Congratulations on your event that we were able to be there, many of us, well, all of us actually, with Bridge to Home. Thank you to the congregations for Beth Shalom for having the mayor, city council member Gibbs, and I. They are 50 years with the Jewish community in Santa Clarita. That was that celebration. That's for the organizations in Santa Clarita. But regarding to the mall situation, thank you for the residents that brought that to our attention. Because if it wasn't for you 2 weeks ago that we have the city council, we were not aware, because that's not a city facility. We wouldn't know. So thank you so much for all the residents that bring some things to our attention, and immediately we direct our staff to get in communication for Supervisor Vargas. So thank you, City Manager Constriplin and the staff, for following up with that, because now, 2 weeks after, now they have the inspection that it was needed, that they didn't were able to get that when the city was not involved. So and thank you for that. I also want to share, I'll try to do a sound effect for La Puerta, that La Puerta Point of Historical Interest celebration. Join the city of Santa Clarita as we celebrate the designation of La Puerta as a California point of historical interest at Whitney Canyon Park, located at 20303 Newhall Avenue, this Tuesday, March the 3rd at 9:30. Once a natural getaway through Ellesmere Canyon, La Puerta served for centuries as the principal passage into the Santa Clarita Valley. Join us as we honor this historic landmark and the generations whose journeys helped shape our region. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Gibbs?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Ayala covered everything I did for the last 2 weeks, so I'm good. But Frank, great speech that you gave at the chamber event, sir.
It was a great speech. Thank you. Councilman McLean?
Yeah, hi. I have a couple of things I'd like to mention. First of all, congratulations to those businesses who received the SCV Chamber Awards, and to our very own Frank Oviedo, who was awarded the Public Service Award. And yesterday, there was a Northern Corridor Cities meeting, and at that meeting, chaired by Ara Najarian from the city of Glendale, we received state and federal updates. So we heard about hard closures along the I-5 impacting Santa Clarita in the next several months. So be alert and be cautious. They'll be closing down several of the on-ramps and off-ramps over the next several months until next spring. Heard about the $24 billion state budget deficit, but some transportation projects could be funded. So there's good news and bad news. Was given information also on potential federal dollars for local projects, and one bit of really good news is that the North County Antelope Valley Metrolink line could receive eligibility for grant funding in the future for federal dollars, which is very, very good. And regarding La Puerta, this is something that has been in the works for many, many, many years. And I'm actually requesting council consensus to make a small addition to the La Puerta ribbon cutting on March 3rd. SCV Canyons Preservation Committee was founded around 1988 to preserve the canyons surrounding Santa Clarita. The committee had a list of things to accomplish to make that happen that have been achieved. We have Ellesmere Canyon and Whitney Canyon in public ownership, and Placerita Canyon is thriving. The last thing on the committee's list was to have the state historical status of La Puerta. So now, after all of these years, many, many years, it's time to retire the SCV Canyons Preservation Committee. And I would like to take a few minutes at the ribbon cutting to mention a few people and to publicly present a check to the California Conservation Foundation to close out the committee's account. There are also some T-shirts and posters that would be free to the attendees. I spoke with city manager about the possible logistics for this, and there would not be a problem since this would be just a very small thing. But council's consensus would be necessary. So I'm hoping that you can all agree to grant this small request at the ceremony on March 3rd. Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to mention the one story, one city, one story, bless you. I'm well into the book, The Music Shop, and I would recommend this book to everyone. The author is incredible with being able to present and to write so that you're right there inside the book, and it's really uplifting and great. So I'm hoping that you will all take advantage of that book. Thank you.
They always put out a good book. All right, well, I would like to congratulate Congregation Beth Shalom on their 50th anniversary, and it was just a marvelous thing to see so many people there. They're happy families that they have come so far, and we were there. And it was very enjoyable. So congratulations again to Congregation Beth Shalom. Sue for the Soul had a great fundraiser for Bridge to Home, for the homeless shelter. And I know we had a lot of fun supporting them. And I know the community came out, the room was full. So congratulations to them on their very successful fundraiser for the homeless. And we appreciate their efforts a great deal. We had a pet adoption. I think we have a slideshow for it. With the Castaic Animal Care Center at Santa Clarita Public Library, Joanne Darcy Branch, on February 7th. 5 dogs found their forever home just in time for Valentine's Day, and our library staff really went above and beyond, not only hosting the event, but they also adopted 2 pups. Aren't they adorable? Oreo and Evie, who are now enjoying a lot of snuggles and hugs, and they're having fun with their new family. For the remainder of this month, adopters only pay a licensing fee of $14 for a dog and $5 for a cat. And that is very, very, very inexpensive. And the animal will be spayed or neutered and will have had all its shots. So if you have it in your home, a place to expend your heart for a pet, please just go up to the shelter and adopt. I know these people were very happy with theirs, so we appreciate everybody thinking about that. Cowboy Festival's coming back, folks, on the 18th and 19th at William S. Hart Park. And it's going to be quite a festival. We've got top line dancing going on, line dance finals on Friday the 17th. And of course, you've got everything, themed food, cobbler, vendors, dancing lessons, everything you can want. And the best part is, it's at William S. Hart Park, our very own park today, and this is the first time we will have had the Cowboy Festival in our own park, and I know our staff's really excited and proud of it, and I appreciate all the work that all the staff has done to pull this all together, so I thank you for that. And I can't go without mentioning one more thing. At Hart Park, there will be on the 28th a new event called Art Hop, and the city invites you to the Art Hop, a free family-friendly event with lots of creativity on Saturday, March 28th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Hart Park, and the families can explore student art and hike, participate in hands-on activities, and join in a timed egg hands-on scramble for children 10 and under. So the event is free. Just come on over to the park and have a great time. Great time, so appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for putting in all the effort.
Mayor, can I ask?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Thank you. After the comments of for some of our residents, I would like to direct the staff, if council is agree, of course, to have notice of closure from what you brought, Marcia, for our residents in social media, so they know, or any other media. Also, regarding the lithium battery, by now, they should have already the inspection for the fire department. So can you investigate what was the outcome of the inspection? So if we have a future meeting, we have that background from that. And the last one, regarding the bouquet, today we haven't updated about the traffic, and it was, thank you so much for everything you have done now with that, of course, in preparation for that closure, for moving our residents around, but also for the staff, if we can have like kind of the same update that we have today, that we were working for cars, but for pedestrians, because what Glenda brought today, it was more regarding pedestrians, so the wheelchairs access. I don't know if there's anything that needed to be changed for pedestrians with that closure. I don't know, but I just would like to have an update. And I didn't get exactly what the stop in what street Glenda was referring about the stop, but I just want to kind of double check with you about that.
Unless I'm mistaken, both of those issues were a completely different neighborhood.
Okay. It's not the bouquet, because first you mentioned bouquet and then okay. Well, we can review that. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
All right, we're going to begin our first public hearing for annexation in the street maintenance district. This is the time and place for the public hearing for Santa Clarita Street Light Maintenance District annexation number 202501 and all other matters discussed in the resolution. The hearing is now officially open, and we will receive comments, questions, and any oral protests from any interested persons on these matters. When all comments have been received, the hearing will be closed. City Clerk, you report out.
All notices required by law have been provided.
Okay. This hearing is now officially opened, and we will receive comments, questions, and any oral protests from any interested persons on these matters. City staff will now make a presentation, after which the public will have an opportunity to comment, and when all comments have been received, the hearing will be closed. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Special Districts Manager Andrew Adams.
Good evening, Mayor West and members of the City Council. My name is Andrew Adams, Special Districts Manager for the City of Santa Clarita. Tonight's item is the public hearing and ballot tabulation for SMD Annexation L-101, which proposes to annex 14 development projects totaling approximately 82 acres and 24 parcels into street lighting Zone B of the Landscape and Lighting District. These projects include Sierra West Senior Living, Riverwalk Mixed Use, Riverview Community, Hartwell Mixed Use, and several others. On December 9th, 2025, the City Council initiated this annexation and approved the preliminary engineer's report. Ballots were mailed to the affected property owners more than 45 days ago in compliance with Proposition 218. Street lighting zones A and B collectively fund the city's streetlight maintenance district, which supports the operation, maintenance, and administration of the city's streetlight system. Zone A is the city's original lighting zone established by LA County with no CPI escalator. Zone B was established later to reflect the full cost of maintaining the streetlight system. New developments are annexed into Zone B. Assessments are calculated using the equivalent benefit unit methodology, a standard assessment engineering practice that proportionally assigns costs to parcels based on the benefit they receive, consistent with Proposition 218. If approved, assessments will begin in fiscal year 26-27. Tonight, following the close of the public hearing, ballots will be opened and tabulated. If no majority protest exists, staff recommends adoption of the resolutions approving the engineer's report, declaring the results, annexing the parcels into Zone B, and ordering the levy of assessments. If a majority protest exists, no further action is required. This concludes my presentation. Myself and staff from our assessment engineer, Wildan, are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew Adams. Appreciate that. City Clerk, are there any speaker cards?
There are no speakers on this item.
Is there anyone who wishes to file a written comment or protest related to this matter? Hearing none, we will move forward. Are there any property owners in the audience that still need to turn in a ballot? Seeing none. In that case, I am now closing the public comment portion of this hearing. Are there any questions, or is there any discussion by members of the council? Okay. City Clerk is directed to open the ballots, tabulate, and announce the ballot results at this time. The ballot tabulation is open to the public and will begin immediately in the Carl Boyer Conference Room. The City Clerk will announce the results prior to the end of tonight's council meeting. Do we proceed from here? We just keep going. City Clerk will provide the ballot envelopes to special district staff who will open those ballots, tabulate the results. We will proceed with the remainder of the agenda while staff tabulates the ballots. Once the tabulation is complete, the city will announce the ballot results. So do we just wait a minute? Okay. All right, then we'll go on to agenda item number 2, also a public hearing. And we'll come back to public hearing number 1 for the finished tabulation. This is a public hearing for Master Case 25-039. This is the time and place for the appeal of the Planning Commission decision to deny Master Case 25-039, the Lion Center Self-Storage Project. This hearing is officially open, and we will receive comments, questions, and oral protests from any interested person. When all the comments have been received, the public comment portion of the hearing will be closed. City Clerk.
All notices required by law have been provided.
City staff will now make a presentation, followed by a presentation from the appellant.
Good evening, Mayor West and members of the City Council. My name is Andy Olson, and I'm an associate planner with the city's planning division. The next item before you this evening is the appeal hearing for the Lion Center Self-Storage Project. The applicant for this project is Philip Lee of Lion Center LLC, and for this project, the applicant is the one who filed the appeal. The project is located in the Lions Urban 3 zone of the Lions Corridor Plan, and the underlying land use designation from the city's general plan here is community commercial. This project is a proposal to build a new self-storage facility in the vacant tenant space next to Aldi in the Lions Center Shopping Center at Orchard Village Road and Lions Avenue. Self-storage is not today a permitted land use anywhere in the Lions Corridor Plan. To give you some background on this project, this was originally a one-stop that was submitted in January of 2022. In the one-stop comments that were issued by the Planning Division, staff was clear with the applicant that staff was not supportive of self-storage at this location for 2 reasons. First, self-storage is not permitted as a use in the Lions Corridor Plan. Secondly, prior City Council direction has been to not permit self-storage in community commercial areas and to limit self-storage on major arterials. After the one-stop, the appellant did have informal conversations with staff regarding the property. In those conversations, staff has been consistent in providing the same message as was provided in the one-stop. The project was formally submitted to the Planning Division in March of last year, 2025. At the time of submittal, there was not a zoning map or zoning amendment that was submitted. However, we received those a couple of months later in May. After reviewing the appellant's proposed changes to the Lions Corridor Plan with the City Attorney's Office, staff determined that because of the unique nature of the Lions Corridor Plan, the city's code did not permit the applicant to make this request, and so the application was denied. And I'll touch on that more a little bit in the presentation. Subsequently, the applicant appealed this decision to the Planning Commission. After hearing staff and the applicant presentations, receiving public comment, and deliberating, the Planning Commission voted 4-0 to deny the appeal and uphold the project denial. Subsequently, the appellant has filed the appeal with the City Council, and that's the reason we're here this evening. This slide shows the location of the proposed project. This is the shopping center that is currently anchored by Aldi and CVS. The proposal, as I mentioned, includes building out the vacant portion of the Aldi building with self-storage. To the north of the site, you have single-family homes in Old Orchard, you have Hart High School to the northeast, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, or OOPH, to the east, and existing commercial to the south and to the west. This is a view of zoning at the project site. So, as I mentioned, the site is zoned Lions Urban 3, as is much of the surrounding property. There's also some other Lions Corridor Plan zoning, as well as urban residential zoning designations and public institutional for Hart High School. Again, the underlying land use designation for the site is community commercial in the general plan. So the Lions Corridor Plan is unique in the city. It's different from the city's standard zoning and from our specific plans. The city has only 2 corridor plans, this one and the Soledad Canyon Road Corridor Plan. The Lions Corridor Plan was initiated back in 2010 to guide development in the Lions Corridor. The city conducted substantial public outreach, including multiple public meetings, to receive the community's feedback and incorporate their desired uses and buildings into the planning process. The Corridor Plan was adopted by the City Council in 2013. The Lions Corridor Plan implements the city's vision and general plan policies for the plan area. It encourages businesses such as retail, restaurants, grocery stores, and medical services, and it also encourages high-quality redevelopment and pedestrian-friendly walkable developments. The applicant considered 2 different potential paths to permit their project at this location. The first would be a zone change and general plan amendment to remove the project site from the Lions Corridor Plan. This approach would require a rezone to something like a business park zone and would need to be evaluated for potential spot zoning. None of the neighboring zones today allow for self-storage, and so any zone proposed here would not be consistent with that surrounding zoning. The second path the applicant considered was to propose a text change to the Lions Corridor Plan to allow for their use, and this is the path that they chose to pursue. However, the Santa Clarita Municipal Code allows an applicant to request a change to their specific zoning for their specific parcel. It does not allow applicants to initiate a change to a corridor plan that the city initiated. Because this is what the appellant proposed, the project was denied. This slide shows you the location of the Lions Corridor Plan area. As you can see, it generally covers commercial properties fronting or close to Lions Avenue. The corridor plan supersedes the previous zoning at this location, and if self-storage was allowed in the LU3 zone, as is proposed by the applicant, it would be allowed in all of the purple areas that you see on the screen. So this equates to approximately 70% of the plan area. In 2003, the City Council adopted Ordinance 031, which amended the city's self-storage facility requirements. This ordinance prohibited self-storage uses in community commercial zones, where they were previously permitted with a minor use permit. The ordinance also increased the permit requirement in business, park, and industrial zones to be a conditional use permit. The ordinance also stated that the city's intent was to limit the visibility of self-storage facilities on primary and secondary thoroughfares. This section was updated as part of the city's One Valley, One Vision general plan update effort in 2013, but it remains in effect today. Based on this prior direction, since 2003, staff has directed applicants to zones that would allow for self-storage, including business park, mixed use, and industrial, for these types of projects. So, in summary, self-storage is not permitted today in the LU3 zone of the Lions Corridor Plan. Self-storage was also prohibited by Ordinance 031 in community commercial areas. Third, an applicant cannot propose a change to a city-initiated corridor plan. And lastly, self-storage at this location conflicts with prior city council direction regarding self-storage uses being limited on major and secondary highways. In terms of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, CEQA review is not required when a project is denied. All public noticing has been completed as required by law, and 2 comment letters have been received to date. One is from the appellant in support of their application, and the other is from a member of the public opposing self-storage in the Lions Corridor. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution denying the appeal and affirming the Planning Commission's denial of the Lions Center Self-Storage Project, Master Case 25039. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have. In addition, the applicant Philip Lee and his representative Hunt Brawley are here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy Olson. The appellant now has 15 minutes to address the City Council, and I will turn the time over to the appellant.
Good evening, Mayor West, Mayor Pro Tem Ayala, Councilman Gibbs, Councilwoman McLean, Councilmember Miranda, and members of the public. My name is Philip Lee. I'm a project manager at Lions Center. We're the owners of the retail center located at the northeast corner of Lions Avenue and Orchard Village Road. When we purchased this property in 2014, it was anchored by Ralph's, which occupied roughly 46,000 square feet. Since they vacated, we have successfully backfilled 20,000 square feet with Aldi, but 26,000 square feet of vacant space remains. Since then, for 12 years, we have fought to fill this space. We've engaged over 100 tenants and received 42 formal rejections from fitness and medical to daycare and retail, nearly all of the major permitted uses within LU3. The answer is always the same. Either the market is saturated or the parking layout just doesn't work with high turnover retail. We understand the primary hurdle is the Unified Development Code prohibiting self-storage in commercial zones. To understand the why behind this rule, I look back at the original February 2003 agenda report. As staff has mentioned, I want to point out the intent of this change is to limit the visibility of self-storage facilities along primary and secondary thoroughfares. Again, the intent of this change is to limit the visibility of the self-storage facilities along primary and secondary thoroughfares. In 2003, self-storage meant outdoor metal sheds, rows of roll-up doors, and industrial blight. The council was right to protect the city from that, but that is not what we are proposing. Our project features 0 exterior roll-up doors, 0 exterior unit access, high-quality retail architecture that blends seamlessly into the existing center. I ask myself another question. Are we the first to request for this change? Is what we are asking for an unheard of request? Has a specific plan ever been amended? After a recent discovery, I found a similar project called Rice Self-Storage Development that was approved by the Planning Commission on March 18, 2003, presented to City Council on May 13, 2003, and adopted on June 13, 2003, just over 3 months after the self-storage code restriction was in place. The following is a few excerpts from the agenda report, and I quote, "On April 10, 2002, a one-stop application was filed with the Planning and Building Services Department by Rice Development to construct a self-storage facility in the Lowe's Home Improvement Shopping Center, which is in the North Valencia 1 specific plan commercial area. Staff provided feedback to the applicant that self-storage facilities were allowed in the industrial areas, but not the commercial areas of the North Valencia 1 specific plan. Staff's comments included that if the applicant wanted to pursue formal entitlement, the applicant would need to submit a formal application that included a specific plan amendment to allow self-storage facilities in the commercial areas of the North Valencia 1 specific plan. In addition, staff requested that amendment include that all self-storage facilities require conditional use permit approval rather than allowing these uses by right. On February 25, 2003, the City Council took final action to approve a Unified Development Code amendment that would prohibit self-storage uses in the commercial areas of the city. However, the North Valencia 1 specific plan is not affected by this recent amendment. The specific plan consists of a smaller, defined area within the city that has its own set of requirements and policies apart from the Unified Development Code. Staff believes that the unique location lends itself well to a self-storage facility and would be compatible with existing uses in the center, as it is located in the rear of the center with limited direct street frontage. In addition, the facility consists of similar operating characteristics as retail and is similar in hours of operation. Even though the City Council took action in February 2003 to prohibit self-storage facilities in the commercial areas outside of the North Valencia 1 specific plan, it is staff's opinion that allowing self-storage facilities with an approved conditional use permit in the commercial areas of the specific plan is consistent with the policies of the specific plan and would not conflict with the intent of the City Council's most recent self-storage ordinance for the following reasons. All of the commercial areas in the North Valencia 1 specific plan are within a small geographically area of the city, which requires these areas to be reviewed and analyzed differently than the commercial areas outside of the specific plan. The lack of street frontage, the significant distance from the self-storage to the street, and being located in the rear of an existing shopping center is not desirable or economically feasible to retail users. A majority of the self-storage facilities are located in the commercial and industrial areas of Newhall, Canyon Country, and Saugus. The proposed specific plan amendment will allow a service that is lacking in the community of Valencia, and by requiring a conditional use permit, will ensure that the use will be compatible and aesthetically pleasing for the community. The area surrounding the proposed self-storage facility consists of the city's most dense residential communities, which creates a need for self-storage facilities in the immediate area. The proposal would result in less vehicle trips traveling through the city to other self-storage facilities located in Canyon Country and Newhall. The proposed self-storage facility is different than the typical self-storage facilities that have been built in the past. The typical self-storage facility in the city consists of long rows of storage units with highly visible roll-up doors and metal roofs along major commercial roadway corridors. As a result, the City Council took action to prohibit this situation from occurring again. However, the proposed self-storage is operated and designed significantly different than those typical self-storage facilities already in the city. The proposal consists of one building that has been designed to look commercial with tower elements, windows, roof parapets, and wall articulation. In addition, a majority of the storage units are accessed through the regular doors and an elevator. Staff believes with the enhanced architecture and preliminary landscape, the project will be aesthetically pleasing from the public viewing areas such as Bouquet Canyon Road Bridge and portions of Valencia Boulevard. The project is built and is currently known as Storage Center Valencia. The city recognized that when a project is designed with the right aesthetic and site-specific controls, it provides a valuable service without compromising the community's character. The commercial real estate landscape has changed dramatically over the last 5 years, let alone 20 years, with millions of square feet of office and retail, at one point fully occupied, now some completely vacant, trading at far below replacement costs. Developers and cities are working together to find adaptive reuse solutions that provide long-term vacancy and blight. The 2003 Code Amendment was a forward-thinking move to protect Santa Clarita's corridor from the industrial storage designs of that era. However, just as retail has evolved, so has the self-storage industry. We are not asking the city to strike the 2003 code. Rather, we are asking the city to revisit the intent of the code. We believe the intent was to keep the corridor free of industrial designs and uphold a high standard of architecture. We are asking the city to update its perspective, to consider that today's Class A, interior-only, climate-controlled, self-storage property bears no resemblance to the metal sheds of 20 years ago. Thank you for your time and your partnership. I'll pass it off to Mr. Brawley.
Thank you. Hunt Brawley with the Kegley Law Group, representing Line Center. Just want to emphasize a few points. As Philip just indicated, he just found this information late yesterday. One of the purposes of evaluating a project, which the city staff report mentions on several occasions, is to look at what impacts this proposal would have and look at the history of what the city has done. So there may very well be other projects that could also be used as comparison. But what is before you this evening is not whether or not you like self-storage at the site, because you don't have any information, no studies, where you can evaluate that at this point in time. We're here for one simple reason, as we said it in our appeal, and as we said in a letter that I submitted yesterday based on reviewing the city staff report. Only the city council can give direction to study not approve tonight, study a text amendment to the Lions Corridor Plan. That is what we are seeking tonight, so that that text amendment can be analyzed along with our proposed self-storage project going forward. Nothing more, nothing less. If you have concerns about self-storage, we respect that. But also, we as a property owner with almost 35% of the leasable space at this center not being leased for the last 14 years when Ralph's left, need to find a way to keep that property economically viable. We all know how challenging the retail and commercial centers are these days. This is a 100% leased site. Someone leaves, like Starbucks, and goes across to the old KFC, they replace it. They work diligently on that. As recently as 6 months ago, they had a letter of intent with a potential user, but they went to the old 99-cent store on Lyons Avenue. We have challenges with parking and other issues for other uses. So again, what are we asking for tonight? The council to initiate, again, not to approve, initiate a text amendment review. I want to point out something that the city staff made a major issue with in their staff report, which is that we had proposed a change to LU3 designation, because that is what we were encouraged to do, because the other one they were concerned was going to be spot zoning. Then we do that, and they give us a staff report in the Planning Commission. That's 72% of the area, zone area of your plan. And even though it would require a CUP, then the concern would be you'd have multiple self-storage. So we did put in our appeal letter a suggestion that you create a new designation just for our property, LU4, that allows self-storage, to remove that concern. And then we're told, well, you can't do that because you have to do you can only do what you proposed. Well, we can make a change if the city council decides at your direction that the text amendment you want studied, and again, the word is studied, would be a new designation LU4, or study both of them. But again, what we're looking for this evening is for the council to allow our project to be fully analyzed, as the staff indicates would need to be done, and which we're fully prepared to do and pay for, and allow the city to give direction on what the text amendment would be that also has to be analyzed. So we urge your consideration of this issue. We appreciate it, and we'll be prepared to answer any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
City Clerk, are there any speakers? Tony Maldonado. Okay, I have an attached letter. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I can't read it all into the record, but okay. We will now do we give the 5 minutes to the appellant? City Clerk? No speakers? Okay. No? Okay. There's no more comments, so I'm closing the public comment portion of this hearing. And then are there any questions for staff or the appellant? Or is there any discussion here by the council? Do you have any questions, council?
I have some questions with the owners of the shopping center. You mentioned that they were, you reach out a lot of businesses, and at the time they say no. When it was the time, and when it was the last time you reach out these businesses? I remember on the list it was, for example, the Dollar Tree, and they were like so many.
Every year, we reach out every year, more or less. Yeah, so very recently, at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other, what other efforts have you done to try to have a tenant on that besides having a broker looking for the space? I don't know.
We posted on all the major listing websites, and we tell our brokers to bring us any type of deal. We don't have a minimum rent that they have to meet per se. We'll look at any deal at this point.
And well, the other question is not for you, it's for the staff. Why it was not permitted in the past to have self-storage? What was the city council at the time, why that decision was made?
So, Councilmember Ayala, in 2003, the City Council adopted the ordinance prohibiting self-storage on community commercial areas and to limit it on the major arterial, so to focus self-storage in the more industrial areas of the city.
But it was the reason what it was because of the look or the,
yes,
the
it was,
different flow of traffic?
I apologize. At the time, there was a storage facility, I believe, that was approved along a major corridor, and the council was not happy with the way that the use, the compatibility of the use, the look of the use, and all of that. So the council made a policy decision at that point to create a different zoning for them so that they were not on major corridors in that situation. But that was a council discussion based on largely on a reaction to one that was approved in an area that the council did not want to see those proliferating in the city.
And I have another question kind of related with the storage that Mr. Lee is referring next to Lowe's. What was the exception of that one, or was because it was like the same year, or why that was approved, and just to have a background on.
Good evening, Vice Chair Ayala, Patrick LeClaire, Planning Manager. Yeah, that was a unique project. I don't know or don't recall all of the nuances of that. I would like to point out, though, that was a project that came in prior to the corridor plan that we're talking about now, and I would have to revisit the code language to see if it was if it had similar code language as we have with the corridor plan.
So maybe it was approved before this, and that's why, but it was built, probably after that.
And it's just for the record, I mean, I wouldn't say they're apples to apples.
Okay.
I mean, the project that's being referred to behind Lowe's is tucked in behind Lowe's and the creek. It wasn't built. It was a new project that was created. This is a transitioning or creating a use that currently exists in one category and changing completely the use of it. So they're not necessarily apples to apples. And for the reasons that were pointed out in which Mr. Lee read, I think was a justification that fell outside of the council's policy at that time of keeping them off thoroughfares, because it's really not on a thoroughfare and it's not visible whatsoever.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just had a couple of questions here. Mr. Lee or Mr. Brawley, from the time that the one-stop review was completed in March of 22 to then formally submitting the application in 25, were you guys solely looking to try to find tenants, or were you looking at other things potentially to do with the property? What was going on for that 3-year span that I'm seeing missing in kind of the chronology of the project here?
Yes, we just continued to market the property. We wanted to revisit with our broker, before we really proceed. We'll do one last shot and really spend some time to market the property and see if we can capture anybody. And we thought we were hopeful. We got a letter of intent very recently, but ultimately the layout, confirmed our suspicions that the layout and the design and where the vacant space is in the building, how much parking there is left, really turned away any potential use for that space, or any potential interest, I should say, for that space. So yeah, we're still currently active. We have a listing agreement with the national broker. That's his best interest is to find a tenant. Our best interest is still to find a tenant. We are naturally a landlord. We want to be able to obtain a tenant to collect rent on. This is more of a last case resort for us. To really, reutilize the space.
Thank you. And Mr. Lee, in those discussions that you've had over the years, have any of the potential users of the property been interested if they could have had that entire building and not just the piece that is not occupied by Aldi?
Yes, yes. If Aldi was not in place, we would have been able to lease up the entire building because of all the parking in front of the building. But given that where we're at now, there's very limited parking on the available space.
Very good. Thank you. And I want to make sure I get this right. So when you submitted the application, the review from staff said the applicant could not initiate a text amendment on the Lions Quarter plan. That's correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And it said I believe it said in the report that the applicant did not submit an alternate proposal. I guess my question, I don't mean for it to be open-ended, but is there another methodology that they could go through with what they're asking for that did not include council initiating the text amendment to the plan?
So Councilmember Gibbs, the option that's available that would not require council direction is an applicant requesting a zoning map amendment. So changing the zoning of the property to a business park or other similar zone.
And that could be done within the even with the LCP in place?
Correct. The municipal code does allow for an applicant to request that. That would still ultimately be a city council decision.
Because that would still end up being a general plan amendment? Is that still accurate?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I see talking going on this side.
I want to clarify that process in talking to the city attorney, that basically entails carving a portion of the corridor out. So instead of dealing with the corridor as a planning unit, which we spent 2 years doing,
sure,
you're now coming in and basically saying, I'm going to carve this piece out and handle it differently than the rest of the corridor. So that's why it's not something that we would recommend to an applicant or would be something that we'd recommend.
So while it wouldn't have been a staff recommendation, that is something that exists within our code that they could have utilized if they chose. Okay. Thank you. That helps. Mr. Brawley, in your letter, I know it's been talked to a little bit, where you said in your letter on December 11th that property has not been able to lease due to significant depth compared to parking lot frontage and the existing limited parking. I guess what I'm going for here is how much parking was taken up by the Aldi's piece that is limiting the available parking that would exist for the other half of the building?
Andy, are you able to pull up the site plan? I think if you keep going down. Oh, yeah, right here is fine. So all the parking spaces in front of that blue amounts to about 23 parking spaces, which is 23 parking spaces for 26,000 square feet, which is roughly 1 per 1,000. Granted, of course, you can park in front of Aldi, but ultimately, in practicality, businesses will turn away from that because they feel that that's Aldi's priority use and it's just not as desirable as some of the available other options in the area.
So when Aldi's came in, they're not necessarily guaranteed the parking that's in front of them. You would tell any applicant that they would have access to all of it, but the limiting factor is for the applicant typically saying, we want to be in front of our building.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And then, Mayor, my last question for the moment. Mr. Brawley, you mentioned in the letter that we received yesterday about staff report fails to remind the council that it has in fact previously approved a general plan amendment and zone change for a self-storage project along a major and secondary highway in spite of staff recommendation of denial. Can you talk about that project for me, please?
That's the Valley Center Drive project that was staff opposed throughout the process, but we were allowed to go through the general plan amendment and zone change. You can call it the clock tower self-storage facility. And the studies made the case, and we were able to convince the Planning Commission, the City Council, that it was an acceptable use of the property. And more importantly, there's a lot of discussion about the limit, how these facilities look along the corridors. And there's, I think, 7 steps in your code. And if you meet those 7, then you've taken care of that concern of the visibility issue. and we more than exceeded that with some of the requirements that were put on that project, some coming from the Planning Commission. So we were able to do that. One point I did make in the letter, push back just a little bit, staff wants to emphasize that they told us staff wouldn't support the project. We appreciate that, but staff doesn't make the final decision. The fact that staff has concerns, which we appreciate and will recommend approval, does not mean that the applicant does not have the right to process and have the studies done and then come to the decision makers, the Planning Commission and the Council, to ultimately make the decision. And in that case, the recommendation to the Planning Commission was deny. The Planning Commission supported it, and so the recommendation changed at the City Council.
So when it came to council,
the Planning Commission had approved it.
when it came to council, staff changed its recommendation?
Because the Planning Commission had approved the project.
Oh,
they were presenting an approved project from the Planning Commission.
And so as part of that, as you mentioned, so kind of like what, if I'm understanding Planner Olson mentioned, you did a zone map amendment or a general plan amendment, so you changed that land designation. So the 7 pieces that you talked about would be allowed to go down through a process for a CUP because you've now changed the zoning of that parcel of property. Is that correct?
Correct.
And there was an adjacent parcel of property that already shared a similar designation within the area?
There was not immediately adjacent, but there was some business park along, as I recall, Soledad Canyon.
Well, do you know if it, staff, do you know if it was on Soledad or if it was on Valley?
Good question. It was to the east across Golden Valley Road. The property adjacent there was all business park, so it was just a natural connection across Golden Valley Road to that location.
Okay, thank you. And then, thank you, Mr. Brawley. Staff, my last question for the moment, Mayor, and thank you. Is there a difference, just so I understand it, between what we're referring to as spot zoning versus the discussion of this unique new zone that is created for the corridor plan? That could be created for the corridor plan, excuse me.
Yeah, so that request brought up by the applicant was brought up at the Planning Commission meeting, and we haven't even looked at what options there could be to consider a request because the code doesn't allow staff to review the request. So if council gave direction, which is what we're here for tonight, to hear if council wants to give us direction on that, if council did, we would be able to review that and go from there. So could another zone, could other code requirements be considered? All options that could be considered, but we haven't even gotten to that point at this time.
Thank you, Patrick. Mayor, that's all my questions for now. Thank you.
Good questions. All right. Do you have anything?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay, now I watched the Planning Commission meeting, and now I'm listening to you now, and I don't understand why we're here. Number one, we're talking about Newhall revitalization, which was then expanded to the Lyons Avenue corridor plan, because we wanted to make sure that we upheld a high standard along that corridor for the revitalization of Newhall. That's just one comment. And the same thing goes for the Soledad Canyon corridor. On September 10th, 2002, there was a public hearing, and the City Council, under Section 17.13.070.1, states, self-storage facilities are prohibited in all other zoning districts other than, and they set up which zoning districts they are allowed in. They mentioned visibility, but that's not the main focus here. So you can get a conditional use permit in the business park, industrial, commercial, and industrial zones, where they were previously either permitted by right or allowed with the approval of a minor use permit. The City Council at that time set these parameters for a reason. It's because, as the city manager said, we were being deluged with the proliferation of self-storage facilities, which actually don't do anything to enhance retail or enhance certain neighborhoods. So when you were talking about the Rice development at Lowe's, it's apples and oranges. It's not the same. The coding was different and such. So whatever wording you're asking for, you're asking to take this particular parcel and change the zoning to allow a self-storage facility. That is setting a precedent, opening up the entire Newhall or the Lyons Avenue corridor and all the other zoning that was set years ago in order to protect these areas against self-storage units. So you're asking to open up and set a precedent which will then allow others to come in and say, well, you did it for them, you have to do it for us. And that's not the kind of a use that is really conducive to uplifting an area rather than bringing it down. I don't know what else to say. Like I said, I have no idea why you're well, I do know why you're here, but that particular location with the amount of footage that you have, I think that your people were looking for usages that were way far over what would fit there. And if you look at the number of parking spaces there, if you go there, you will see there are so many empty spaces all along this whole shopping center that anyone wishing to go to any kind of a use for that area would find plenty of parking. So I don't buy that with the lack of parking. If you could provide me a list of every single business that could fit in that space, I'd love to see it, because I'm not sure whether developers have or could have a tax break if you decide to lease this particular area to a smaller business, a nonprofit. I know many, many nonprofits that are looking for areas that would do very well over there. And also, I'm not sure that when you rent it to Aldi, you should have done your due diligence and find out what could or could not go in that small space, in that smaller space. And maybe you should have told Aldi you need to rent the whole space, and you wouldn't be in this predicament. I have a real problem trying to mess with the Lyons Avenue corridor and trying to do one type of zoning for this little piece of property, because you're opening up the door for others coming along and trying to put a use in there that was not going to be acceptable for this area and the revitalization of Lyons Avenue and the same as Newhall. I don't know, like I said, I just don't understand why you're even trying to do this here when you could very well just find somebody to rent that spot that would go along with the shopping center, rather than trying to undo zoning that was set pretty much in stone many years ago in order to protect areas from a proliferation of self-storage facilities. And so I am very opposed to opening this up for a study that you mentioned. And if you need a you're going to speak?
No, I'd like to make some comments.
I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the staff's recommendation. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you weren't going to.
No, I have a lot of questions. Mr. Brawley, so I can see you. This is not the old type standard mini storage with people just bringing stuff in and out. This is an interior building with temperature control?
Correct. It's what you call a Class A.
Okay, so I didn't know that. It's Class A building. And would that house like documents that need to be protected or artwork that need to be protected? Different kinds of things that have to be stored where they're protected by temperature control?
Yes.
And everything's kept out. All right. All right. Thank you. That answers that. All right. Let me just say this. I applaud the staff for the incredibly good job they did on the Lyons Avenue corridor plan, because it was a step in a really good direction as Newhall needed upgrades. But I did want to say that having a 26,000 square foot structure vacant for 14 years, basically 35% of the center, you're not doing anything but allowing a deterioration, and you're not creating jobs. You're not creating anything. You just got vacant space. And we have vacant space all over this city. I know COVID did a lot of damage when it comes to the kinds of businesses that keep going. But I think that what we can't do is be stuck with no process to work through when we run into problems. We can't just say, oh, we can't do anything. And I didn't actually hear staff say that. I heard you say we could initiate as a council a study. Isn't that what I heard you say, staff? Okay. Well, I think we're the ones that have to do that. We have to initiate the study because staff can't initiate the study and the applicant can't initiate a study. But I would really like to see us be forward thinking. Things are changing. And we all know that. I mean, the state has different plans in the city, and we have a lot of things that we want to protect. And what we don't want is empty buildings everywhere where people get desperate and things happen that are negative. So I believe that we need to be flexible and have a view for the future. And in this particular stake, I go there all the time, and you can't see the back of this building from Lyons Avenue. You can see it when you go down Orchard Village Road, but you could take care of that with protective landscaping, and you could do that. But I think what I really want to think about is vacancies in our city, when they're massive, and there's a lot of them, are detrimental to the overall health of the community and to the city. And so you have to think about what can come out of it, and we've been successful in changing uses in other places. And I would think that we're not voting on anything tonight necessarily, but we could invite a study to allow staff to look at this area and figure out how to make this work and how to make this better. You can't just say, no, I just want to leave a 26,000 building vacant forever. That's not being a pro-business, active, forward-thinking city. That's just saying, I can't do it. This is really kind of a tragic situation. I remember when that RAF shut down. That was the store I went to, and I miss it, but they couldn't keep it open. So these are things that are going to happen. This isn't the last time we're going to see a situation like this. And I would like us to initiate a process where we can initiate a study and we can take a look at and have it analyzed of what we can do. And I'm looking at the city manager, and he's not shaking his head no. And I looked at the staff, and you're not shaking your head no. So that's a council decision to move forward so that we can look at options that we can attain something that can work. Eventually, you may see an awful lot of shopping centers turned into entirely different things. There's not enough room for all the strip centers to be filled anymore. It's not happening. They're vacant, a lot of them. And it's just the time. We're into a different time, and things have changed. So I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but I'd like us to initiate a study and work toward trying to have an amicable situation here where we can approve positive instead of just leaving a negative. And believe me, having that building negative, like all the other buildings that I see around empty, is a negative. It's not good for us, and we can't just leave things go that way. But I agree with many people that you want to make sure that we have beautification and that we have structures that are lovely, and that when they are redone, they do look like they've been upgraded and they meet the criteria of today and don't just sit and look like a decayed situation. So to me, architecture is important. The way you do landscape is important. In this case, this is totally different from the orange little building, orange and beige buildings that are many sorts of different kind of creation. So I don't know if the council has.
Mayor, I
Yeah,
would like to say a
Go
few
ahead.
words whenever you're done.
Your turn.
Okay. Studies cost money. Studies cost staff time. If every time a business owner came over here and appealed the decision by the council or by the planning commission and demanded a study, we'd be doing nothing as a staff but studying and not getting a lot of important work done. And so I'm concerned about that. I'm also, and I've mentioned this to the applicants or appellants, that I'm amazed that that space has been open for 14 years. And I'm sorry, and I've mentioned it to all three of you. I put on my business hat and I say, how could a place be empty, 26,000 square feet for 14 years? You're telling us, and you've told us that you've done your best to lease that property out. And I will tell you, as a former business person, that doesn't make sense to me. That absolutely does not make sense to me. You have space to rent, and you're saying you can't rent it for 14 years. And I'm saying, are you trying to make a deal, or are you trying to get what you want in terms of rent and won't make a deal? And I don't know the answer to that, and I don't need to know the answer to that, but my business sense tells me your owners have not been wanting to make a deal, at least not wanting enough. So you come to the city and you want us to change our rules and our ordinances and our permitting plans because you find that easier to do than actually doing the work you're supposed to be doing in getting your place rented. I have a hard time with that. Okay? There are lots of businesses that are looking for space. There are lots of businesses that will pay you substantial money for that space. Now, I don't know what you're asking. You're not going to, probably, especially in this economic environment, you're not going to get the rent that maybe you could have gotten 14 years ago or whenever. The business climate has changed. But that space should serve the community. And frankly, a storage facility might be needed in the community, but there are a lot of other places that you can put it in. Right. That's a retail space. We want people to get jobs in there. We want people to buy products in there, serve the community there, and frankly, we want some of that sales tax that might come from there. So for those reasons, I'm going to agree with Marcia, Councilwoman McLean. I'm not sure why we're here, because it's pretty clear. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but I believe both of you were on the council in 2003.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so you were part of making that decision. And so, and you guys should know that since you've studied it 2003. But yet you're coming here and asking the council to order the staff to do a study when, in my opinion, all you got to do is negotiate a deal with a potential tenant and problem solved. So for that reason, I would agree with Councilman McLean and go with the staff recommendation.
I have one final comment. I went over and walked around that building, and I agree with Bill that you should be able to find tenants, but it's like a large, huge warehouse, not amenable to small businesses. And there's no street views. There's nothing, no shop windows, there's no street views, there's no way to make it shopping friendly. It's just a big 26,000 square foot space. It doesn't work for almost any business unless you're a warehouse kind of business. And so I'll just say that it didn't seem like it was amenable to most commercial uses, Bill, but I did go look at it. I think that we should just have a vote and see how it goes.
Can I just mention one thing? I believe that you're opening up a Pandora's box by initiating a study to take apart something that was set up in stone a long time ago by our other city councils. I mean, we have a great city for a reason. It's because we don't just go ahead and throw away things that are working for our city in order to try and do something else. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we uphold the staff's recommendation.
And I'll second it.
Councilwoman McLean?
Yes, to uphold the staff's recommendation.
Councilmember Miranda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbs?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala?
Yes.
And Mayor West?
I'm going to be the only no, because I really am worried about all these vacancies. And so I think that it's important to address the issues as they come along. The city can't stay stagnant, and I agree that when we put this plan in place, we did it with all the right reasons. But today is a little bit different economic situation than we've ever had. So we will come around to it again. All right, let's move on to the tabulation of the ballot envelopes.
.64% of the ballots are in favor of annexation of subject properties into the street light maintenance district, and 36% are opposed. Therefore, there is no majority protest.
Since we do not have majority protest, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution specific to annexations number 2025-01.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? Roll
Mayor
call.
Pro Tem Ayala?
Aye.
Councilmember Gibbs?
Aye.
Councilwoman McLean?
Yes.
Councilmember Miranda?
Yes.
And Mayor West?
Aye. All right, now we'll move on to consent. Do you have any speakers for consent? Tony Maldonado.
Thank you. For the record, there's something wrong with the mic. If you get too close, it seems to pop.
I agree.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This comment concerns the proposed contract for the city's public opinion poll. As you know, I have a bit of experience regarding polling, campaigning, and advising political aspirants. Santa Clarita has approximately 230,000 residents, yet historically, fewer than 900 residents, or statistically zero, have participated during every 2-month polling window that we've had. This does not meet statistical modeling standards, It represents a very small share of our community and very poor value for money. Our polling is similar to our outreach for public comments on planning applications, woefully poor. At nearly $35,000 per cycle, or based on our current rate of $38 per respondent, with renewal options extending through 2032, this is a long-term fiscal commitment. The question is not whether the consultant is qualified. The question is whether the city is maximizing outreach, representation, and value. Again, last time, 900 respondents, that equals to $38 per respondent. In any campaign, that's a failure. Over the past 4 election cycles, I've personally engaged an average of 3,000 to 4,000 households per month within Santa Clarita through structured field-based outreach strategies, including door-to-door canvassing, repeated neighborhood contact, multilingual materials, targeted precinct walking, and systemic follow-up in high-density residential areas. This is not a theoretical model. It's an operationally executed, measured, and sustained campaign that I developed over multiple years. This demonstrates that broad engagement is achievable when outreach is proactive, geographically distributed, and persistent. Yet the best we ever achieve are extremely low polling results. That's extremely disappointing for us. If the purpose of the polling opinion is to inform policy direction and budget priorities, then participation volume and demographic diversity directly affect credibility. A sample of less than 900 may satisfy leadership, but not technical standards. And it does not truly reflect the lived experiences of a city of 230,000. Before authorizing renewal options through 2032, the council may wish to consider performance benchmarks such as defined response rate growth rates, expanded outreach methodologies beyond traditional polling, transparent demographic and geographic reporting, clear evaluation of costs per completed response. This approach would strengthen accountability, improve civic inclusion, and ensure public funds are delivering measurable engagement outcomes. This is ultimately about stewardship, both financial and institution. I leave this to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public speaking. Is there any questions for staff on?
Yes, it's regarding item 5. What is the city getting in exchange for the $34,964 for the public opinion poll? Because in the past, I've seen that you have been doing a great effort in the website, and people do the survey, and I just was wondering if we could do more than that for this money, especially for people that sometimes they are not tech savvy, but they want to make their opinion. If they can come and make their opinion probably here at the City Hall, saying like, Mondays, we have the forms, and you can have your opinion, or is there any different way other than having the survey on the website?
Thank you, Councilmember. It's not just on this website. I mean, this is it's a little bit different, and I respectfully disagree with Mr. Maldonado's assessment. This is not a political campaign. This is a public opinion poll of a community. Whether we have 233,000 residents is irrelevant to the sample size that you would draw for this opinion poll. You're not going to get the opinions of 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds or kids. So there's a smaller demographic from which you pull. There is a statistical methodology that is statistically valid that is used to determine the sample size. So it is a sample size that is drawn from the population that you can generalize the results across the population. So that's the intent of it. It's not meant to be anything more than that. The outreach efforts are direct phone calls on the website, and I do believe we have a paper form. If not, we can certainly add that. But it is a very direct, intentional effort to get out into all areas equally across the board. Not only, I think Mr. Maldonado talked about demographics, it is, and that is transparently presented as part of the public opinion poll. It's where are they located geographically? What were the age groups? Was it male? Was it female? And what was the ethnic breakdown? So all of that stuff is included in the poll and will be presented with the results.
Mm-hmm. I think I would love if our city council members are agreed to have those polls in all our community centers and activity center. A lot of parents go there. In the meantime, they go for classes.
Yeah, you can, but I would the thing is, once you start introducing non-methodological inputs, it then changes the validity of the statistical methodology. So I would just caution the council too much of changing the methodology in terms of getting different inputs because it changes the statistics of it. So, I mean, we can look at, you mean having paper forms at the community centers? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I mean, we can do the paper forms and we can put those at all of our facilities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments before we close up? No? How about a motion on consent?
So moved.
I have a motion and I have a second. City Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Miranda?
Yes.
Councilwoman McLean?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala?
Aye.
Councilmember Gibbs?
Aye.
And Mayor West?
Aye. Do you have any more public speakers?
There are no more speakers.
In that case, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.